Quiet luxury filters attention. Only those with context recognize it. Everyone else sees something ordinary. And that's the point, because attention from the wrong audience is noise. Noise disrupts control. Now observe how different groups respond to the same signal. A flashy car attracts immediate attention. People look, they comment, they assume. It creates a narrative instantly. But a subtle car, well-built, unremarkable to the untrained eye, passes unnoticed. No assumptions, no conversations, no expectations. The owner moves freely. One approach collects reactions, the other collects time. Different classes choose differently. Those climbing often seek confirmation. Those who have arrived protect insulation. This isn't about superiority, it's about risk. Management. Attention creates exposure. Exposure creates vulnerability, and vulnerability is expensive. Observe how the wealthy handle social presence. They attend events selectively. They avoid unnecessary publicity. They delegate representation whenever possible. When they appear, it is controlled. When they speak, it is measured. Silence is not absence, it's leverage. In many elite circles, being unknown is an advantage. Anonymity preserves negotiating power. People behave differently when they don't know who they're dealing with. They reveal more, they posture less, they underestimate, and underestimation is one of the most useful positions to occupy. Attention removes that advantage. Once people label you, they reduce you, they flatten complexity into stereotype. Old money avoids labels because labels make you predictable. Notice how new wealth often behaves differently. Visibility feels like a rival. Display feels like proof. There is often an urgency to be seen, to confirm to others and to oneself that success is real. This isn't moral failure, it's psychological adjustment. New wealth is still negotiating identity. Old wealth already settled it generations ago. That difference shows up everywhere, in dress, in speech, in posture, but most clearly in relationship to attention. One seeks it, the other designs around avoiding it. Now observe what happens when attention is misunderstood, when visibility is mistaken for power. People begin performing wealth instead of using it. They optimize for appearances rather than outcomes. They take visible risks instead of quiet ones. They confuse recognition with security. But recognition doesn't protect you. It exposes you. Attention invites comparison. Comparison invites competition. Competition invites conflict. The wealthy who avoid attention avoid unnecessary conflict. They choose quiet accumulation over loud validation, because validation doesn't compound, but discretion does. There's also the issue of expectation from others. When wealth is visible, people feel entitled to access. Requests increase, assumptions form, boundaries are tested. Every interaction carries subtext. That drains cognitive bandwidth. The wealthy who remain discreet conserve energy. They spend less time explaining themselves, less time defending choices, less time managing perceptions. They retain mental quiet, and mental quiet is a luxury most people underestimate. Observe how attention changes behavior even in small settings. When someone believes they are being watched, they self-edit, they hesitate, they calculate, they perform. When no one is watching, movement becomes efficient. The wealthy understand this at scale. They design lives with fewer observers, less commentary, less interference. Freedom increases. Now consider the cost of misreading this rule. When people equate attention with success, they chase exposure. They make themselves legible too early. They broadcast strategies. Before outcomes, they reveal intentions before execution. This invites resistance, not because others are malicious, but because attention provokes response. Response creates friction. Friction slows momentum. The wealthy who avoid attention preserve momentum. They move quietly, then reveal results. If at all, and often, they don't reveal them, because revealing is optional. The uncomfortable truth is this. Attention is often compensation. It fills a gap. Those who truly possess power do not need to advertise it. They don't need confirmation. They don't need reassurance. They already know where they stand. And knowing removes urgency. Urgency creates noise. Noise attracts attention. Attention attracts problems. Silence avoids them. This doesn't mean the wealthy are invisible. It means they are selectively visible. They choose when and how to be seen. They control the frame. They understand that the rarest luxury is not money. It's autonomy. And autonomy requires obscurity, at least partially, at least strategically. So return to the contradiction we started with. If attention is so valuable, why do the richest people avoid it? Because attention is only valuable to those who need it, and the moment you no longer need it, you begin to see its cost. Once you see that cost, the desire to be noticed fades. What remains is something quieter, something harder to explain, and much harder to take away. The louder you are, the more important you seem. The more visible you are, the more successful you appear. And for most people, that's where the story ends. But that version of wealth exists primarily at the surface. It's designed to be consumed, to be admired, to be copied. It benefits brands. It benefits platforms. It benefits anyone selling aspiration. It does not benefit the truly wealthy because real wealth operates under a different set of rules. Rules that are rarely explained and almost never advertised. At higher levels of affluence, attention stops being a reward. It becomes a liability. Visibility attracts questions. Questions attract scrutiny. Scrutiny attracts interference. The more people know about you, the more opinions they form, the more claims they feel entitled to make. Attention invites expectation, and expectation is expensive. There is a reason old money families are difficult to identify, not because they lack wealth, but because they understand exposure. They understand that being seen too clearly collapses optionality. When people know who you are, they begin to decide who you should be. When people track your moves, your freedom narrows. Privacy isn't secrecy. It's insulation. It's the ability to move without explanation. The wealthy understand this intuitively. That understanding shapes their behavior long before it shapes their aesthetics. Look closely at elite environments. The most powerful individuals in the room are rarely the loudest. They speak less. They gesture less. They reveal almost nothing. Their confidence doesn't ask to be acknowledged because it doesn't need reinforcement. Attention-seeking behavior is often mistaken for dominance, but dominance doesn't require witnesses. Power at its highest levels prefers silence, not because it is shy, but because it is complete. There is also a psychological mechanism at work. Attention creates pressure to perform. When wealth is visible, it must be maintained theatrically. The lifestyle becomes a stage. The person becomes the brand. Every public choice is evaluated. Every deviation is noticed. The wealthy who avoid attention avoid this trap. They keep wealth functional, not performative. Money becomes a tool, not a costume. And tools don't need applause. Consider how luxury itself is designed at different levels. Mass market luxury is obvious. Logos are bold. Designs are exaggerated. The signal is unmistakable. It's meant to be recognized instantly. This is luxury. As communication, it says, "Look at me." But at higher levels, the design language shifts. Logos disappear. Materials matter more than appearance. Details are invisible unless you know where to look. The object is no longer trying to explain itself. It assumes the observer doesn't need convincing. This isn't accidental, it's deliberate exclusion. Most people believe wealth wants to be seen. They believe money looks for light, for recognition, for applause. But the higher you move up the wealth ladder, the stranger the pattern becomes. The truly wealthy don't chase attention. They design their lives to avoid it. And that contradiction is where everything begins. Because if attention is so valuable, why would the richest people on earth spend so much effort trying to escape it? That question makes most people uncomfortable, and discomfort is usually a signal that something important is being hidden. So let's sit with it quietly, Most people are taught, directly or indirectly, that wealth announces itself, that money shows up loudly, through cars that turn heads, homes that dominate skylines, clothes that carry logos large enough to be read from across a room. Attention becomes proof. Visibility becomes validation. If others can see it, then it must be real. This belief didn't appear by accident. It was built, marketed, repeated until it felt natural. Entire industries depend on it. Advertising thrives on spectacle. Luxury marketing trains the public to associate value with visibility. Social platforms reward display, not discretion. In this system, attention is currency.